Welcome, everybody, to Dad's Watching Sports. He is Kyle Capp. I am simply Michael Draper, and we are the dads who watch sport every once in a while. Maybe we should start putting that, Kyle, in parentheses, kind of as we watch sports every once in a while, sometimes, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Kyle, it is Sunday, April 11th, 2021. Master Sunday, episode 60, Kyle. 60. We are 60 episodes into this thing. I'll be honest, Kyle, when we first started this gig, I didn't know if we'd make it past episode 6. We got to 6, we got to 10, 20, 30, 50 a year, and here we are at episode 60. I can't believe we're here.
This is crazy. I mean, Kenny. I'm gonna just say Kenny. You know who I'm talking about? Kenny is 60 years old, and now the show is 60 episodes old. And I'm sure there's a thing I could do there, but it's 60 and 60, right?
There you go. That's right. So Kyle, this show might get inappropriate already. Your wife is commenting saying the guy in the hat is fire. I mean, do we need to let you go, Kyle, and let you and the missus have some alone time?
She's going to kill me, and I don't even care. There's a story I can't tell on air.
Thank you very much.
But yeah.
Okay. Yep. I think that's a good way to end that story. Is by never starting that story, Kyle. So we are the dads watching sports sometimes, and we're broadcasting live on the Off the Ball Network. We're on the Twitter feed, on the Facebook feed right now. If you're checking us out, hit us with some comments, some questions. This is going to be just kind of a random show. We may or may not have a guest, Kyle. We're producing on the fly. We had one we thought was scheduled. Hopefully he's going to join us here in a little bit, but that's just how live stuff goes. So we're just gonna throw it up into the air tonight and just say we'll just talk about whatever the heck we want to. But
what do you want to talk about then?
Well, we're going to get into it. But first, I got to do my little stuff. I got to open the show. I got to talk about going on, iTunes, rate and review, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. So let me get through that first.
So you haven't opened the show.
I haven't even opened the show. I'm trying. Kyle, this is what we call stretch in the broadcasting business. When you're like, we don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight. We didn't do a lot of prep. Our guests may not show up. We stretch as much as possible to fill time.
So what you're doing right now is stretching, and me just interrupting randomly is helping.
It is absolutely helping. So if we were in a broadcast studio, the one much more professional than this, and let's say we were, on ESPN or SEC Network, shout out to Peter Burns, Cole Kubelik, our buddies there, Vance McCullough. We'd love to have more of you on. If we'll say we're up against a hard break in about 2 minutes. Well, we've just interviewed John Calipari. He talks about how great the Cats are going to be this year. And we're at the end of that conversation, and we still got 2 minutes left. The person behind the camera, Kyle, is going to start doing this. They're going to stretch it out, stretch it out. So that's what we're doing right here, Kyle. And I appreciate you participating.
So see, I was not a communications major in college like you were. So that's right. That's news to me.
That's right. And I got the voice to go with it tonight. I woke up this morning and I was like, man, what is going on? Like, I don't have a sore throat. I'm not sick, but I'm like halfway hoarse.
But you know what? Don't change it. It's a very nice voice.
It is very nice. I feel like I could hit the mow from the
Elvira.
That's right. If I needed to. So anyways, again, Dad's Watching Sports. This is episode 60. If you're listening to us via podcast, thank you so much for downloading each and every week. I was talking to our good friend Matt Kirk earlier last week, Kyle, and he's let me know he's got some good buddies in the state of Arkansas Woo Pig Woo that download the show every week and love the show. And so we appreciate that, friends of Matt Kirk. So if you're listening to this show, I hope you review. I hope you give us a rating. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we would love for you to. Shoot us a message. Follow us on the show. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, you can check us out anywhere you want. Facebook, Twitter, the Gram, et cetera, et cetera. Kyle, before we get into some topics, and we, again, we're stretching out here. We'll get into some sports topics and some dad topics and everything. But, Kyle, let me tell you about Manscaped. Support for dads watching sports is brought to you by Manscaped, and who is the best in the men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineered tools for your family jewels, Kyle. They got good stuff for you down there. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Everybody likes to be groomed, Kyle, and Manscaped can do that. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and we have an exclusive offer. So, I see a Castles boy back there. Kyle, we have an exclusive offer. So if you're listening to this show right now, I want you to either hit pause or if you're pulling up, if you're doing like a live feed right now, I want you to go to manscaped.com, manscaped.com. We got a great deal for you here. Get the Lawnmower 3.0, get some perfume, not some perfume, but some deodorant, get some great stuff at Manscaped. And when you do, you get 20% off and free shipping with the code off the ball. Again, go to manscaped.com, Kyle. You get the lawnmower, you get the deodorant, you get the balm. There's a balm in Gilead. There's a balm at Manscaped. And you can find that at manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping with the code off the ball.
Okay. So I have, since we started this whole Manscaped thing, thought off the ball was in reference to the network.
Yes.
But is it in reference to where we want to get the hair away from?
Yes. Okay, let's actually get into something here.
All right, let's do something.
Because we're already 7 minutes in. Okay, Kyle. So exactly. Last week we previewed the Final Four. We talked about the national championship game that was coming up, Baylor and Gonzaga. If you remember correctly, you and I, in our expert picks,
not so expert,
we both said Gonzaga was not only going to win, but they were going to win easily, comfortably, maybe not easily, but comfortably. We both felt kind of like an 8 to 12 point win. We were wrong, Kyle.
Yeah,
we were bad wrong.
Oh yeah,
Baylor.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: nobody saw that coming. No. But man, what a performance!
It's crazy. I mean, you said it. Like, we did not go into that thinking we were going to see something like that. I thought it was going to be a good game. Maybe be within a couple possessions going in like the final 5 minutes, and Gonzaga kind of pulled away there at the end, and whatever, like a very normal basketball game. Look, Baylor. And Baylor was good all year. I'm not saying Baylor wasn't good.
Sure.
They weren't undefeated like Gonzaga, and they did. It felt like they got to that last weekend, that Final Four, that finals game, and it just like everything clicked. You know what I mean? Everything started clicking for them. So it was the only words I wrote down for this topic were absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, it really, if you think about it, remember Baylor was undefeated for a good portion of the year. Yeah. I think even on the show, we talked about who was going to lose first. But then they had COVID issues and they were down I think it was close to like 3 weeks. They came back from that and lost 2 out of 3, I think. And then they ran the table the rest of the way. So had it not been for a COVID shutdown, they could have been an undefeated team going in. And we could have been talking about, is this one of the greatest teams of all times? And man, those guards, Mitchell and what was the other guy's name? I'm blanking on the other two, but man, they were good. And from an athletic standpoint, they just manhandled Gonzaga, and you could see it within the first 3 minutes of the game. Every shot that Baylor put up, they got an offensive rebound in the first 3 minutes. They were just bullying their way underneath the glass. They were getting anything they wanted to in terms of getting to the rim, getting wide open shots, and that game was over. I mean, within 5 minutes, it was 9-0, and that's as close as Gonzaga got the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think the biggest lead I saw there at the beginning was like 20-something to or just a stupid number. So yeah, it was impressive, just the beating they put on them. Butler's the other guard, by the way. Jared
Butler. That's what I couldn't think of. Well, congratulations to Baylor. I've got a couple of good friends that are Baylor alums. Sent them a text that night before the game saying, "Let's go Bears," and then after the game saying, "Congratulations." So congratulations to the Baylor Nation on winning their first ever national championship. And Kyle, another topic I wanted to get into about that game and about Baylor and about winning the national championship, and a lot has been made about this in the past couple of days, but Scott Drew takes over a program that literally had hit rock bottom. I don't know that we've ever seen an instance in a major Division I program, if any college program whatsoever, where one player killed another. And that's what happened at Baylor.
Yeah.
And they fired their entire staff. Everybody transferred out there. If you remember, Lawrence Roberts from Mississippi State came from Baylor back in the day. So that program was completely decimated, started from below ground zero. And yes, it took him 20 years to get there, or 18, I think. But to be able to turn that program around, and really in the past 8 to 10 years, they've been relevant, if not really good. What a coaching job.
Yeah, I think it also shows when you're patient, and I understand the money, I understand, falling behind your career, I understand everything, but when there is patience with the right person, 18 years worth of patience, good things can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a great point, because they even mentioned in that game, his first 3 years they won, I think maybe they said like 20 games in 3 years. And nowadays, you're out of there. If you only win 20 games in a basketball season in 3 years, you were out. And kudos to that whole, the university president, the athletic director, everybody involved in that, to say this is a 5 to 7 to 10 year process to get us back relevant. And then over the next 10 years, literally I know they went to the Elite Eight a couple of years. They've been really good, and now finally kind of got over the hump. But yeah, man, that's a great story. Mark Few obviously has built a powerhouse at Gonzaga, and kudos to him as well. But man, again, to start below ground zero for Baylor, what they did was really
and impressive. Quite frankly, at this point, Drew might be one of those hot names for a bigger job if something opens up now. But with Baylor being loyal to him for 18 years,
it's gonna be hard to get him out of there.
Yeah,
without a doubt. I think there's two jobs that could probably call him, and that's if John Calipari left, or if Coach K retired. That I think he would probably potentially leave for. Yeah. Let's hit on two more things in college basketball, and then we're gonna go to a break, and then we'll come back and get into next. Before we do that, though, TJ Burns says, "What's up, boys?" TJ,
it's been a while.
It has been a while. We are glad to hear from you, sir. Hope you're doing well, and hope you'll join us for a good portion of the show and jump in. So, Kyle, a couple things about college basketball. Last week, we talked a little bit about UNC, Roy Williams stepping down. They end up going with the guy that was on your list, Hubert Davis. No head coaching experience, but had been on their bench for several years. Played at North Carolina, obviously played in the NBA as well. Hubert Davis is the coach. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, it was what I thought they were going to do. It felt like a very North Carolina hire.
Sure, they stay in the family.
Yeah, and he's there. He's worked under Roy Williams. It's kind of like, maybe, I don't know if it's exactly like this. I don't think, because Hubert Davis didn't play for Roy, but it's kind of like Roy and Dean, and like you just kind of bring in the next one that's kind of been groomed for it. So I like the hire. We'll see if it works out for him. I think there were some other people that maybe a safer hire, but look, we've seen safe hires not work out. So good for them. I think they got the one that they probably wanted to begin with.
Yeah, I think so. Whether it works out or not, we'll see. I think Hubert Davis seems like a great guy. I loved him when he was on ESPN and he worked College Game Day for the NCAA basketball. It seems like just a tremendous person. I hope it works out for him. I don't know that I really follow the script of like it has to be a Carolina guy. It has to be somebody that played here or coached here. Because if you think about it, if he didn't play there and was an assistant coach, would he have been on their radar? No, he probably wouldn't have been. But we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I wish him nothing but success, other than obviously when they play the Cats every couple of years. Last one topic in college basketball, Kyle, and then we're gonna toss it to a break. So this happens every year after a national championship game, whether it's football, basketball, even baseball. We have the way too early top 25. We're not going to go top 25, but we're going to go top 10 in terms of way too early. I'll give you my 10 through 6, then we'll go to you, and then we'll do 5 through 1. So my 10, and I'm not going to give a huge blurb other than just a couple little talking points. Number 10, I have Kentucky. A lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, you're a homer. They just won 9 games." Yeah, but I mean, they're also Kentucky. They're going to be back. They're losing a lot, which is kind of hard to believe. But they've had a lot of players transfer out. They've got right now 3 guys with their names in the NBA draft. If Isaiah Jackson decides to come back, who is really probably their best player this year, they'll be top 5. I mean, he's really good. Davion Mintz is probably coming back. They got Oscar Schwebe from West Virginia, who's going to be a big guy. So I think Kentucky will be fine. I've got Purdue at number 9. A lot of people are really high on Purdue, but until Purdue wins something, stop it. Like, I know they went to the Elite Eight 2 years ago, or I guess it was now 3 years ago, but stop it. Purdue never wins at anything, so they're always overhyped. Number 8, I've got Duke. Again, a lot of roster turnover there, but they got a great class coming in, and Coach K is always going to have them ready. Number 7, I'm going back to the SEC. I've got Arkansas. Arkansas is dangerous, and the SEC is so much better when Arkansas is good. Musselman's a great coach. He has really done really good at bringing in grad transfers. I know they lost Moses Moody, but I think they'll be good. 6, I'm staying in the SEC. I got Alabama. I know they lose Petty. They're probably going to lose 1 or 2 more, but they've got a good recruiting class coming in. I love the way Nate Oates coaches, so I got Bama at 6.
All right, so I thought we were going to have a lot of repeat, and we have a couple here in 10 through 6. So at 10, I got Villanova.
Okay.
It just kind of happens that they always end up right around there. Number 9, I got Kansas. I think some of the Blue Bloods are coming back. So Kansas at number 9. Number 8, I got Kentucky, that class that they got coming in. This group this year, and this is the problem with Calipari's plan, is these one and dones. When you have a bunch of young guys and everything shuts down for COVID, you never get that. You don't get that time in the summer and the fall getting ready for the games. They're in the late fall, early winter, and you run into what he ran into is they weren't ready to go. He's going to have that this year. It's going to be Kentucky like we've seen. I'm not worried about it. I think the transfer from West Virginia is huge.
Yep.
I got Ohio State at number, 10, 9, 8, 7. They're going to be there. They're going to be there in talk of winning the Big Ten, probably not winning the Big Ten because I got one team ahead of them, but I got Ohio State at number 7. Then I got defending champion Baylor at number 6. They'll be there. They got a heck of a coach, and to me, coaching matters more than most things. So I got Baylor there at 6. Plus, I don't see a whole lot in the Big 12 that is outside of Kansas, maybe, that's going to be able to touch them anyways.
There you go. Okay, so my 5 through 1, I've got number 5. I've got the aforementioned Kansas. Kansas. It's just going to be a really interesting year to see what happens at Kansas. They are under a lot of heat from the NCAA. There's going to be some stuff that comes out over the next couple of months that probably gets them in trouble where I would imagine they're not going to the NCAA tournament next year because of some probation. But they also just signed Bill Self to a lifetime contract. I don't know how you handcuff yourself to the guy who very well may have gotten you in a lot of trouble, but Kansas is doing that. So I got them at number 5. I've got Nova at 4. They just kind of reload and rebuild and go right back at it. They got some really good guards coming back, so I think they'll be there. 3 is all depending on – I'm basing 3 off of where they are today. This may change in a week's time. I've got UCLA at number 3. If Johnny Juzang goes to the NBA, which he very well likely will, still hurts my heart that he transferred from Kentucky, they will drop significantly. But I've got them at 3 right now. to Ohio State. I'm big on Holmgren and their or not Holmgren. Their coach is, I know it starts with the H, but I'm big on Ohio State. I thought they were the best team in the Big Ten this year, and they ended up, falling short, obviously, in the round of the first round. And then number 1, I got Gonzaga. It's only because of what they're bringing in, and I know they're losing a lot, but I'm still not a huge believer in them now, man. After seeing them, what they've done, and then go out and get thumped like that in the title game, but they lose. They're going to lose Kispert and Suggs, obviously, and a few others. They'll bring back old Timmy. And they got the number 1 kid in the country that's probably coming their way, plus some possible transfers. But that's I got the Zags as number 1 preseason.
Yeah, I think all this is up for debate because we haven't seen the transfers yet. And I mean, they're talking about thousands of kids in the transfer portal in basketball this year. So there's no telling. But so number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got number 5. I got Michigan. I'm a believer in what's going on up there in Ann Arbor. Did I do 10 or did I do 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I only did 9.
That's all right.
So, okay. So that was 9-5 for me, the last one. Baylor's number 5, Michigan number 4, UCLA at 3. So we had that one the exact same. And again, if Juzang decides he wants to jump, then I think UCLA falls.
Yep.
I don't know that he does. Maybe.
I think he's got to, man. I mean, that kid was on a heater. He was had they made the national championship game, he'd have been the most, win or lose, he would have been the most outstanding player of the tournament. I mean, he scored almost as many points in the NCAA tournament as Jabbar and Bill Walton for UCLA. So I mean, you got to go.
I don't know. I feel like if he was, we'd already heard about it. I could be wrong. Number 2, I got Gonzaga. They're losing their best player in Suggs. I don't know that Timmy comes back. He might, but
he lost a lot of money on Monday night, man.
He did.
He got abused.
Yeah, I mean, he got exposed. So maybe he does because people start to question everything. And then number 1, you're going to hate me for this one, but I got Duke. The Class K's got coming in, plus it's Coach K on the bench. It's hard for me to bet against, Belichick. It's hard for me to bet against Saban. It's hard for me to bet against K. So I'll put Duke number 1, and transfers can change all of this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, and I want to talk about the transfer portal later on the show because that has thrown college basketball into a frenzy. So TJ says, hats off to Baylor. However, Gonzaga will be back. Mark my words. Strong words from TJ Burns on the Zags. I don't know that I disagree. They'll be back to an extent. I just don't know that I'm ready to say they can. And they just got to play people during the season. Got to play people.
Yeah, but nobody wants to play them.
No, and I get that.
I mean, what good does it for a Michigan, a Kentucky, a Kansas, a whoever, a UCLA to put them on the schedule?
It's true. Very true. All right, Kyle, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we got a lot more to talk about. We'll be back. We'll do a little bit more stretching out, both, real life and literally and figuratively. But we'll be back on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all stick with us.
Big news in the Dad's Watching Sports podcasting world. You've heard us mention it on the show already. We are now part of the Off the Ball Podcast Network. We're super excited to be joining the team of great shows, hopefully adding a little dad flavor to the mix. You can check out Off the Ball Podcast and Off the Ball Network on all your social media sites. Just search Off the Ball Network. And while you're there, give them a like and a follow. You won't regret it.
We're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Kyle Castles and Michael Draper, or should I refer to you as Coach Kyle Castles, Kyle?
I mean, you could. I thought I had hung up the whistle. I thought that I had coached my last one, but I got sucked back in, man.
So tell us about this this high level coaching that you're doing here.
Yeah, it is some of the most pressure packed coaching I've ever done.
Scouting reports.
It's insane.
I can imagine.
I am officially an assistant coach for the Grassland Reds.
Very
For
nice.
those of you that have never heard of the Grassland Reds, this is where you gotta start paying attention. This is the U4 T-ball league in Grassland, Franklin, Tennessee. And so the little one that y'all saw is Mike was because he couldn't get his shirt turned right side out so that he could go to bed.
And we all have that struggle.
Jack, he is on the Grassland Reds, and they needed an assistant coach, and I gave it because I said I don't want to coach my kid. I don't want to coach my kid. I don't coach my kid because it's hard for me not to be too hard on them. I gave in and said nobody else stepped up after the first practice. I'll do it, and it's been a lot of fun. It's actually a lot easier not to be hard on him than I thought it was going to be. Just because in my head I'd say, like, don't be hard on him. Don't expect more out of him than anybody else. Like, he's okay. He's doing good.
You get a tough exterior, Kyle, but on the inside, you're just a big softy.
I'm pretty sure that's a fat joke.
I said you've got a tough exterior. You know?
So I'm a fat guy with thick skin. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you said it, not I. Okay, so a couple things about this that I'm curious about. Number one, assistant coach. So that means taking directions, which you've been an assistant coach in a majority of, if not all of your coaching career, but taking direction from the head T-ball coach here. How's the working relationship with the head coach?
Well, it works out really well. His name is Kyle as well, so I know he's very intelligent. So I don't expect him a whole lot. And all I've coached is football. I've never coached baseball. I enjoy baseball. Obviously, I named my son after my favorite baseball team's stadium, but I've never coached it. I played it, so I know what it should look like. But as far as breaking it down to 4-year-olds, I really struggle with that. But out there, I'm just trying to make sure the kids have fun. They stay somewhat engaged, and that's about it.
Not picking the dandelions out in the field.
They're still doing that. I'm just saying, like, hey, pay attention, and maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Yeah, and bringing some high quality snacks for post game.
Oh yeah,
juice packs, orange slices,
goldfish.
Oh yeah, I mean, who doesn't bring goldfish? I mean, that's a staple. Okay, so next question about Coach Castle's Grassland Reds T-ball champions, the Reds. So your family, I mean, it's fair to say is split. We've got Cubs and Dodgers, but you're a Cubs fan.
I am.
You've already alluded to the fact that your son's name is Wrigley after Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
Do you have a Reds hat? If you have to wear Reds gear, and like, how is that going to play into, like, what if your team is the Reds for the foreseeable future, and you've got a bumper sticker that says Reds Jack number 4? I mean, what's that going to look like?
It's not going to happen. So the shirt will be, I don't have it yet, but it'll be a red shirt. It'll say Grassland Baseball on the front. And maybe it says coach on the back. Maybe there's nothing on the back, but it's just a red shirt.
Okay.
I don't get – well, here's the thing. I don't know this for sure. But Wrigley is in the U6 Coach Pitch League. He is a Brave. If you want to start ranking like teams I hate the most, the Braves are up there.
Yeah.
But the coaches on his team did not get a hat. So I don't know that I'm getting a hat for the Reds, which is okay with me. I don't need a Reds hat.
Well, we'll continue to check in as the season prolongs, and hopefully you'll get a Reds hat and a Braves hat, and maybe you'll get to wear both when coaching. That'd be great.
I'm not coaching the Braves. Jack is, you know this. You got 2 kids. You would think I got a mama and a daddy, and they make kids, and so they should all be somewhat the same. They're nothing alike at all. I can't coach Wrigley. Like, I know that for sure. He does not respond well if I say anything negative to him, so I'm never coaching that kid ever in my life. Jack, on the other hand, responds a little better. So I felt better coaching Jack than coaching Wrigley. Wrigley just needs to hear that I'm proud of him and I hope he has fun.
Yeah.
And that's all he really needs to hear.
Sure. Yeah. Nope. I get that completely. All right. We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Wanted to talk about a couple of things that happened with the Drapers this weekend. It's kind of one's kind of a bragging moment. And then two is it's kind of like an aha, like, man, our children are growing up type of moment. So I was telling you off the air, we just had a busy weekend, and it kind of culminated today. We were finishing a house project that we did. We were getting ready for a birthday party, and so we went over to some friend's house for a birthday party. And I mean, literally, we walk in the door, we walk in their living room, and it was a. Let me back up. So, birthday party. The only people that were invited to this birthday party were grandparents of the kids, and then our family. My wife and the wife are really good friends. It's kind of an understood thing. Even when we invite family, they come over. Kind of the same thing. And so we go to their house, and we walk in, and it's their family, grandparents, and us. And I mean, the minute we walk in, they're like, "Oh, we want to open gifts." Like, okay, sure. I mean, a little poor timing, but okay. Well, what we didn't really realize was, so their son's birthday, I think, was actually last week, but celebrating with a party today. Their daughter's birthday is next Saturday. So grandparents only coming for one birthday brought gifts for both children. Completely understandable. Completely understandable. But as our family walks in with a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, hey, let's open gifts. And the only other 2 children at the party with this other family start opening like 20 gifts. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I'm just thinking, oh gosh, this is not going to go good. Like, our kids are totally going to be like, well, where's my gift? Or I want to play with that. And I want to do that. And I have to brag. Like, our son, thank goodness, got distracted with a truck and was over in the corner playing with a truck the whole time. He was good. He was fine. But our daughter just sat there, and Emma just sat there and watched patiently and watched them open up all their gifts, watched their excitement. And I have to brag, like, she was awesome. Like, I even pulled her to the side and was like, Emma, thank you for handling that so well. I know you're probably thinking, oh, I want some presents, or I want gifts, or why can't I get anything? Why can't I? And she handled it like a rock star, and she was excited for them. And like, it was so cool. And it was just kind of one of those moments where you're just like, man, like, yes, probably 9 times out of 10, she would have been like, well, where's my gift? Or I want something, or can I get a gift when I get home or on the way home? But that one time she didn't. And it was really cool to see that, to see her kind of maturity level for the first time come through. And I was really proud of her. I was really proud of her.
That's awesome. You were at the birthday party that we had here for, I think it was Wrigley, and we invited all of his school friends.
Yeah.
And the present opening time ended up being like all the other kids just ripping into his gifts. I'm glad you didn't run into that.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we would have grabbed our children and been like, no, please do not open these.
You may have, but the other parents didn't.
They did not.
No, they didn't. Let it happen.
They were gung ho, which to this day, I'm now that you bring that up, I still sit back and think, that's an interesting parenting choice. Yeah. But okay, so that was one story, and then the other one was I kind of told you this before the show too, or we got home from that party, and I immediately was like, man, I've got to mow the yard. I haven't been able to do it all weekend. I know it's going to be nice all week, but I'm slammed at work. I've got to mow the yard. So I get the mower out, and reasons we've already talked about, it takes me a lot longer because our mower is a piece of crap. I know, honey, if you're listening, it's my fault because you told me numerous times I could go buy a new mower. But as I'm finishing up, and our kids have been out there for a while playing, and then they ate dinner outside, and I'm finishing up, and I'm pushing the mower, and Hayden, our 2-year-old, just starts kind of walking behind me, and he's just kind of bebopping around and just kind of excited about the fact that Dad's mowing the yard, and I'm still mowing, going back and forth, and he just looks at me and goes, "Hey, Daddy," and he's just walking, and I look back and was like, man, like, stop growing, man. Like, you were just in a car seat, and now here you are walking around. You understand the fact that I'm mowing and you can't get too close to the mower. Mm-hmm. You're excited to be walking behind me. At one point in time, he was pushing his little mower behind, and it's just like, man, those are the coolest moments where it just hits you like, man, these kids grow up, man, and they do it fast.
Wait till you're dropping them off at kindergarten for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing. Wrigley is what, a month and a half-ish away from finishing up kindergarten.
Yeah.
He'll be in first grade.
Yeah.
I looked at him tonight, and I was just like, he does not look like I don't know when it happened, but he's not a toddler anymore. Like, he's a little kid. Like, he's a little 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, this is insane.
There are things that our daughter says where it's just like, man, yeah, you're not a toddler anymore. Like, you're a little person, and it's cool, but it definitely makes you kind of go back and think, oh my goodness.
Well, so Wrigley in school the last, I don't know, week or two, they've been talking about animals.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit me last week. I ask him every day. I pick him up, like, what'd you do in school? What'd you learn? That kind of thing. And he hit me with the word invertebrate. So we talked about invertebrates today. Like,
there we go.
Things that don't have backbones. So crabs, lobsters, octopus, beetles, spiders, those kind of deals. And he's doing the quintessential 6-year-old, right? Like, what's your favorite mammal? What's your favorite land mammal? What's your favorite sea mammal? What's your favorite amphibian, reptile, invertebrate? And I'm like, what? First off, I've never thought about what my favorite invertebrate is, but I figured out it's a crab because I love crab legs.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
But I mean, he can tell you what his favorite invertebrate is, what his second favorite invertebrate is. I mean, it's insane. And I don't, in kindergarten, I couldn't have told you what an invertebrate was. So they're teaching these kids stuff that I don't know that I would have learned till high school.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy, and that's only going to get worse until then it becomes annoying. But for right now, it's still going to be cute and great. But Kyle, let me tell you, I know we were talking about animals that don't have backbones. Kyle, an animal that does have a backbone, a specifically tough, big, thick backbone, is a monkey. Especially a monkey that fights with knives.
Hey, I wouldn't mess with a monkey in a knife fight. I know that much.
No doubt about it. Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy sports gaming website for the casual sports fan that's simple, fun, and it's even easy to play, Kyle. Users determine which superstars compete in the day's professional sporting events and will record more or less than the contest line provided. MKF's daily fantasy prop games play similarly to the salary cap-based DFS games, but without algorithms, lineups, and what, Kyle?
And no sharks?
No sharks, attaboy. There are no sharks. There are several contestants to choose from, none of which require hours of research required on competing sites. You can start with a 2 for 2 or go for the highest payouts, 100 times and higher, by selecting an 8 for 8 more or less contest. Get started right now with 100% instant match bonus up to $50. Almost said $250. We about gave away the whole farm there, Kyle.
Whoa.
$50 with the promo code off the ball. That is Monkey Knife Fight. That is not an invertebrate mammal, Kyle, because Monkey Knife Fight, they got a lot of backbone over there.
Yes, they do.
Math. No math. We hate that math.
It's a good thing.
That is a good thing. This is also a good thing. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Kyle, we'll talk about some other nonsense, and we'll be back on Dad's Watching Sports. Coming up next week on episode 61 of Dad's Watching Sports. Who needs Mel Kiper? I don't even know who Todd McShay is. The dads next week are going to preview the NFL draft. We might even get some of our off-the-ball network guys to help us do that. So stay tuned next week for NFL draft preview on Dad's Watching Sports. We'll see you then. Welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper and Kyle Castles. We are the dads who watch sports, and we're going to talk about it here in just a second. Kyle, I just alluded to it on that fancy schmancy commercial. NFL draft is coming up. We're going to do a little preview next week. We're going to try to get some of the off-the-ball network guys to join us for that show to talk NFL draft. You excited?
Man, the draft is you know me, I'm a football guy. I love football. I love to watch football. I miss it. We get through the first week of February. It's done. It's over. There's no more games. until August when preseason ball starts. It's Labor Day when college football starts. It's weekend after that when the NFL actually kicks off regular season. I'm assuming they're still going to kick it off that week. Maybe it's the week earlier now that they've added another game. I hadn't actually looked into exactly when they're doing it, but I love the draft because it gives me that a little bit of a football fix. There's a lot of fun storylines after the first pick. I mean, everybody is pretty much set on Trevor Lawrence being pick one, and I don't see any reason not to pick him. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens after that. The Jets are, they've gotten rid of Sam Darnold. I'm not going to give next week's show away, but they've gotten rid of Sam Darnold. The Niners trading up to number 3. There's a lot of different scenarios that can play out. And so, it's fun to kind of see what's happening and trying to guess what happens and then see what actually happens. It's a good time.
Yeah, for sure. And Kyle, we're best friends for a reason, Kyle. We do this show for a reason. You just teed it up for me, man. And so I appreciate that because what I'm about to go into next, you just talked about you love football. You know a lot about football. It's no secret on this show. You often say, well, of course I know everything about football. I played football. I know what it's like. I know everything about it.
Exactly.
But Kyle, I have to ask you one quick question, sir. Look over my shoulder. Do you have a trophy with a football in it in your house?
I have a ring that says I'm a state champion in my house.
But do you have a trophy, Kyle, with a football in it that proves that you know more about football than anyone else?
No. I have jerseys from when I played in college framed that prove that I know more than you. I have experience that proves I know more than you.
But you don't have the NFL Challenge Championship trophy, Kyle. I want you to look right here.
It is named very well. If you're going to own it, it's better be called the Queen's Cup.
No, it's called the Queen's Cup, Kyle.
Don't make excuses. Like
you
would win. So what? Like what's going on? You and a bunch of women got together and you just happened to.
That's right. Yep, I was the ultimate queen. No, so let me give you some backstory here. So. The Queen's Cup is named because my mother-in-law, I guess, self-identifies. That's a term we use now. Self-identifies herself as the queen in certain instances. And so, I don't know. I guess I could look at this thing. So back in 2009, Kyle, the Votler family, which I am proudly and so incredibly blessed to be married into, decided, along with their friends, that did not include the Drapers at the time, they were going to put together an NFL Pick'em championship kind of group. And so since 2009, this group has been going. I think we have about 35 or 40 people in it. Every week we pick NFL games every single week, every single game. And yours truly I was actually tied. Our good friend Steve Rubio, who comes on the show, scout for the 49ers, Steve and I were tied going into the Super Bowl. And so I text Steve and I said, hey, man, I'm good with whatever. I just don't want us to tie. So I said, I will defer to you. So I'll let you pick who you want and I'll go with the other team. Obviously he picked the Chiefs. I went with the Bucks. And so the 2021 NFL Pick'em, we'll call it the Queen's Cup, sitting in the Draper household for a year. I'm very excited about it. It's my first time. Got some winnings. Won about $250 as well, Kyle. So
very nice.
Very excited about that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was a time a few years back where I did have a trophy with a basketball attached to it.
That's true.
I don't know if you remember that, but that was back-to-back years when I won that.
Did you win it back-to-back years?
Back-to-back years because Lauren was getting ready to get rid of that out of her house because I had it sitting like right when you walk in the door there it sat.
That's right.
And then we had to move it. We moved it up to the bonus room. We moved into this house. And, yeah, then I think I sent it to
Washington,
where
it's been for 3 years. But it's coming home. Shout out to Sherry Sonny Draper, Mama Draper, for winning the basketball pick'em. The only person that picks Baylor in the whole stinking thing. All right, Kyle, let's finish up really quickly, and we'll get out of here tonight. I wanted to get your take really quickly on the transfer portal. You just mentioned a little while back, up to like 1,000 kids are in it. I mean, it's been ridiculous. Everybody's jumping in. It's kind of the new trendy thing to do. Mm-hmm. It's the trendy new way to recruit. If you're high profile or even not high profile programs. We've talked about this at length on this show before about, I think we're both on the page about letting a kid, it's their decision. They should be able to kind of do what they want to do. Mm-hmm. But now that we're in the thick of it and we're seeing kind of the chaos that has transpired because of this, are you still on board with that? Or what's kind of your thoughts about the new transfer policy rule in college basketball?
Look, I love it. If you're a kid that your high school career, you played on a bad team, and look, we know that basketball, football, we're talking about team sports, and if you're on a bad team, sometimes it's it's harder to shine. And so with this transfer portal, fine, I will take my scholarship to whatever's offered, and I'll go play there. And if I can show something there, now all of a sudden transfer out, I can go somewhere bigger, better, and really show what I'm all about on the greatest stage. I love it. I think it's great. It's free agency for college athletes, which I know a lot of people like, but they're not pro. Look, you can say they're not pro all they want. You can say they get paid through a scholarship all you want, but until you've done it, until you've lived it, you don't know. And the honest truth is these kids, especially, and this is where, I run into some issues with Title IX. Mm-hmm. And I understand Title IX kind of hamstrings colleges, and I've seen presidents and ADs come out and say, look, if we start paying college athletes, we're not going to be able to field women's sports, or at least a lot of women's sports. But at the end of the day, when you're like, who is putting butts in the stands outside of college football players and men's college basketball players? And you can get mad at me for putting the men's on there. That's fine. I've had people mad at me all my life. I don't care anymore. Those kids putting the school's name and logos on them are what make that school what it is. I was talking with someone who actually is part of a college community, and they say that without college football and college basketball, they can't pay for things on that campus beyond sports. Like those sports, especially at your biggest schools, your Alabamas, your Ohio States, football basically pays for everything else that school does. And to then look at those players and say, yeah, but you don't get a piece of this. You don't get a piece of this pie that you baked. You brought the ingredients in and you put them together and you baked the pie, but now you don't get a slice. I got a problem with that. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, we're pretty much spot on in that. I mean, that's kind of been my stance all along. And, I get that it provides a little chaos and it's not the traditional way things have been done. But at the end of the day, I mean, you kind of hit on it, but like in any other profession, or even like if a kid was going to the University of Florida to be an engineer and they decided, you know what, I don't want to be an engineer anymore. I want to go to college to be a sports broadcaster, and I'm going to transfer to Syracuse University. Do they have to sit out a year because they want to transfer schools? No, they don't. They can go wherever the heck they want to. Why should these players have to do it? And as far as it's all concerned, we should get rid of the 1 year rule. I mean, it's not an NCAA rule, it's an NBA rule, but at any other career, we don't tell people that they have to wait a year out of high school to pursue their craft. If anything, we, especially with trades nowadays, we're trying to get people more involved in their craft before they graduate high school to get them prepared for a job.
So here's the thing. If a kid is highly talented and in something like, say, music, right, can sing, can play the guitar, and do it at the same time, and writes good music, man, we'll give them a contract when they're in high school, and we will exploit them until their music is no longer relevant. In high school.
Yep.
Why is it that we look at athletes and say, no, you have to jump through more hoops before you can start making money off of your talent.
Because the wrong people are making all the money.
There you go.
That's why. And I will, and you will too. We'll stand on that box until it changes, because that's the absolute truth. All right, Kyle, last two things here. I talked about it. I alluded to it at the beginning of the show. We are the dads who sometimes watch sports. I had two things, admittedly, on our rundown, and I texted you about, I don't know, an hour or two ahead of time and said, hey, what do you think about moving these two things off? Because I'll be honest, I haven't even turned the TV on all weekend. And I appreciate you being flexible with that.
But then you're bringing them back on.
And now we're bringing them back on, because why not?
I'm glad I didn't delete that part of my notes.
WrestleMania and the Masters were both this weekend. I will be honest, again, I saw who won the Masters. That's about the extent. I think I watched maybe two putts when I was dropping my kids off at my in-laws yesterday. Didn't watch a single thing about WrestleMania. I couldn't even tell you. I think Edge was fighting someone, but I don't know anything else about it. So this is going to be the segment provided by Kyle. Tell us what was going on with the Masters and WrestleMania.
So Masters, I watched very little of it. I was watching. If I was watching sports this weekend, it was baseball. But a little bit of history down in Augusta. We have our first Japanese player to ever win.
Nice.
Hideki Matsuyama.
Okay.
Walked in with a pretty sizable lead to final round Sunday. But like we've seen before, those last few holes at the Masters, that pressure builds and it gets tough. And he sailed one on, I think it was 15, left it. Is it 16 that has the water right there in front of the green? I think it's 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. He left it short in 16, put it in the water. And it may be 14, 15, not 15, 16, but whatever it is. He won it by a stroke, and so good for him. He held on. He won it by a stroke. Great for that guy, and good for a Japanese player to win the Masters. I mean, anytime you can see the first in anything happen, it's kind of a cool thing.
Absolutely.
So that's what we got with the Masters.
Yep.
Had this been prime Tiger that was 4 or 5 strokes back walking into Sunday, that Tiger from 1998 walks out with the green jacket, right? But there's no one with that skill set
right
on tour right now, which is why golf does not have the same viewers that it had in the 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, all sports are going down in viewership over the past year, and golf has just kind of tanked. I'm sure when obviously. Thoughts and prayers out to Tiger for hoping he gets healed up. But I'm sure those executives at CBS were like, when that wreck happened, they knew he's going to be out. We're like, my gosh, this is not good.
I mean, Tiger's the only one that gets people to turn golf on at this point.
Yep.
And yeah, you're seeing sports lose viewers. I don't really understand it. I don't know why we're doing that. But TV. Yeah, this is completely off topic, but TV channels, they're paying biggest money ever to get sports, and this is only because live TV gets more people in, and nobody. I mean, when you're talking about you think back to the 90s, you think back to like primetime sitcoms, Friends, Seinfeld, those big ones, right? You're talking about 10, 12, 14 million people tuning in a week to watch them, and that's cut in half now for anything.
Yeah.
So it's not just sports. Like, people just aren't watching TV the way they used to. Now everything's just, I'll record it and I'll binge it later.
Yep. Well, and I think that's a perfect prelude into or segue into WWE, because it seems like that's kind of the same thing. I mean, and I'm not somebody who's really watched a lot of it over the past decade or even really 2 decades, but I'm sure their viewership has gone down. So I know it moved to two nights, although it may have been like that way last year. Yeah. WrestleMania over the course of 2 nights. Give me like 2 or 3 quick hitter. Like, this is the best thing from WrestleMania night 1 and 2. Well,
so I've kind of like fast forwarded through a lot of it. But night 1's all I've seen. Night 2 is going on right now. You said it. Edge is actually in a triple threat. It's Edge. It's Daniel Bryan, who is kind of the crowd favorite. He's under
Yes.
the Yes movement was a thing, and that's probably the last time wrestling was just hyper relevant. It was 2014 when Daniel Bryan was that whole storyline. Everybody talks about WWE and it's the land of the giants. You got to be this 6'3" or better, muscle bound, whatever. And he's not. He's like 5'9" and a vegan and like does not look anything like what a professional wrestler. When like people that aren't wrestling fans think about it,
Yeah.
And so it's Edge, it's that guy, and it's I've gone blank. I'm sorry. I actually have not.
Is it Roman Reigns?
Roman Reigns, thank you, Roman Reigns.
Hey, look at there!
Look at you, good job. So
I didn't even know he was still wrestling. But
he's there. And so he's now a bad guy. Edge is now a bad guy. He came back as a good guy. He's now a bad guy. And so Daniel Bryan's the good guy in the ring with two bad guys at the same time. And like, can he do it? And
so who wins that match? Does Edge come out of the woodwork to win the title?
So, Edge was out for, almost a decade, I think, with some kind of spinal neck injury. And
too many tables, ladders, and chairs matches.
Basically. And so the thought was, because he won the Royal Rumble, and for those of you that don't follow wrestling, you win the Royal Rumble, you get the main event WrestleMania, which is the biggest wrestling show of the year in the United States. So you win that when you get to go there, and usually what you see is a good guy win the Royal Rumble, show up and face a bad guy at WrestleMania, win it, and it's kind of a moment like, yay, good. And so the thought was like Edge was going to be the good guy walking in. He's going to take on Roman Reigns, who's been the champion for months now, and kind of end that reign, and everybody can go like, yeah, Edge. But what they ran into, from what I've heard, is Edge is looking really old. I mean, dude's pushing 50 now, and he's got the wrinkles, and he looks a little haggard, and what you would expect somebody who lived the life of a professional wrestler would look as he's mid to late 40s.
Yeah.
And so they threw Daniel Bryan in. So I don't know who wins that one. Quite frankly, I like the Roman Reigns character. He's kind of just a butthole that doesn't care, and I'm going to come out, I'm going to win, and make sure you pay me. Like, that's all he cares about. And that's a good bad guy. You know what I mean? That's somebody that's easy to hate. So let him win it. Let him keep the belt. Let him just run with it for a while. Why not? But so they split the major title into two, and the other major title, the bad guy won. So it's going to be the good guy. So I think Daniel Bryan wins it at the end of the night.
So why did they go to 2 nights?
They went to 2 nights last year for the first time due to COVID, and because they, and this was like right at the beginning of COVID. The shutdown starts beginning of March. WrestleMania was end of March or first week of April last year. And so the thought was, if we go 2 nights, we don't have to bring everybody into the building.
Sure. Yep.
We can kind of distance it a little more and whatever. So that's why they did it. But this one, the big deal about this year is it's the first show in front of fans, major show. They have this thing, NXT, which is kind of the developmental, like, minor leagues that WWE owns, and they've had a few, probably a couple hundred fans at their shows the last bit, but first major show in front of fans since COVID started. So that's a big deal. And what I watched today, as I fast forward through a lot, the crowd was on fire. The crowd was just happy to be there.
Oh, of course.
Which is really interesting because there was about a 40-minute weather delay last night because they're in Raymond James Stadium where the Buccaneers play, so it's open. Nice. And all that, and there was lightning in the area. And if you watch sports enough, when there's lightning, they clear stadiums now.
Yep.
So they had a 40-minute delay, and it was raining. Fun thing, there was a women's match, and one of the girls coming down the entrance ramp, apparently the entrance ramp was slick. And she was trying to kind of dance her way down the entrance ramp and just falls flat on her butt. So that was funny. But it was fun. So the rain doesn't help, but the crowd still was pretty live for everything. But one of the coolest things for me, WrestleMania, they've made it into this whole weekend thing, and the Hall of Fame is there, and they didn't do a Hall of Fame in 2020. So night one, they brought out the 2020 Hall of Famers, and tonight I'm assuming they're going to bring out the 2021 Hall of Famers. But the big name in 2020 was the New World Order, which you probably remember. because that was the height. We were in middle school when that was going on. That was the cool thing to do, right?
Too sweet.
Late 90s, like Hogan, Black and White, Hall, Nash, Six or X-Pac or whatever you want to call him.
Yep. 1, 2, 3 Kid. Ooh.
1, 2, 3 Kid. Look at you going way back. Right?
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, like it's a fun little deal, but the NWO was the headliner of the 2020 Hall of Fame. But there was another guy named JBL, and I don't know if you remember JBL. He's actually is John Layfield. You can catch him on like Fox Business because he's a ton of money with businesses and stocks and they actually turned that into his gimmick. I mean, he was when he first came in, he was this like Texan cowboy, whatever. And then he turns into an acolyte. I don't know if you remember that, but Undertaker, like Ministry of Darkness, like creates his own cult thing. And that's when
Ron Simmons, right?
Ron Simmons, yeah. And Ron Simmons, like legit tough guy, was a nose guard at Florida State back in the early 80s and ended up top 10 Heisman vote as a nose guard. First black world champion in pro wrestling.
Yep. Ron Simmons is awesome.
Yeah, like legit world champion. So Ron Simmons is, they apparently become best friends through all this, and so like the Acolyte Protection Agency, when the whole thing with the Undertaker runs its deal, they become this like they just sit around and they drink beer and they beat people up, and it was awesome. Like it was.
I would love to do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, which is basically what they did anyways. Yeah. So I've always liked the Bradshaw character, whether he was the Texan cowboy or he was Acolyte Protection Agency or he was quite frankly, like the new age $1 million man, if you want to go way back to Ted DiBiase, right? It also helped him. He was the longest reigning world champion for a long time on SmackDown and had the perfect face, good guy to go against an Eddie Guerrero. So you had the rich American, and then you had this, the smaller Mexican, and their styles worked perfect. It was great. So yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting ride when you're talking about pro wrestling. I've watched WrestleMania just because it's WrestleMania, but I haven't really been watching it since probably the Rumble in January.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up with as best I can. But there you go. There's the Hall of Fame and WrestleMania and all that good stuff.
There you go. Our sports report brought to you by Kyle Castles and Dad's Watching Sports. We appreciate that, Kyle.
I do what I can.
That's right. Absolutely. You are just the talent. All right. Well, Kyle, it has been a great show. I appreciate you being flexible here and ad-libbing with me. We stretched enough, man. We're over an hour, so we're in good deal here. But we'll be back next week, as we mentioned, some NFL draft preview stuff coming up next week on the show, and I know we'll have a lot of topics to discuss. So we'll talk to you next week on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all have a good one, and make sure and go get that vaccine. We'll see you next week.